Well, Lauren is our first speaker today, and she is doing the first project, which is called the Icebreaker. And the Icebreakers are great because A, they just get you up here doing a speech and having fun and have a supportive and positive environment like we talked about. In Lauren's case, she had actually done another speech already for a work-related topic. And I remember seeing that, and she did a fine job. And now she is back to do the Icebreaker, and she'll tell us more about herself. Less of a work topic, more of an introduction to her as a person. So I want to welcome up Lauren for her speech, Home is Where the Heart Is. Home is Where the Heart Is, Lauren Dominguez.
All right. Home is where the heart is. I think we've all heard the saying before, but for me, I've probably said it a lot in my life. Because my home wasn't always in the same place, and my heart wasn't always in the same place. I'm originally from Boston. I'm very, yes, I am a New England fan. I'm very proud of my city. It's an amazing place to have grown up. My childhood in Boston was very interesting and very different than out here. I was there with my family and all the snow and Larry Bird. And then when I was 12 years old is when I moved out to Arizona. My parents, they decided they were going to split, and me, my mom, and my sister were going to go to Arizona, where my mom knew her best friend, and my dad and my brother were going to stay in Boston. So a huge chunk of my heart was left in Boston. I left behind my father, my brother, all my extended family, all the friends that I had made, and my whole life that I had known up until then. And however, I didn't leave Boston permanently. Every single summer, I was back there. Almost every Christmas break, pretty much any time we had a break in school, I was back in Boston. I had more of a social life out there than I did here, because anytime that school was out, I was out of state in Boston. However, I did have a pretty good life in Arizona. I lived in Gilbert, Arizona with my mom. I did eventually make friendships out here. I graduated from Gilbert High. I did have my second mom, which is my mom's best friend, who my mom knew and why we decided to move out here. And then my mom remarried to a wonderful man and 2 kids. And it was right after my graduation, so I decided it was time for me to move out of the house. I didn't have enough money to move to Boston yet. Boston's very expensive, so I did just get my own apartment down the street on a very nice place, and I was also working at Papago Military Base for the Arizona Air and National Guard, so I figured I'd give Arizona a shot. However, at 22, I was being in Arizona and actually working, there were no more summer breaks and there were no more Christmas breaks, so I wasn't getting to go back to Boston anymore. And I got very homesick for Boston. So at 22, I had saved up enough money, and I decided I'm going to go back to Boston, and made the trip cross country again. So when I went back to Boston, it was great. It was all reunions. It was me, my best friend Taryn, my dad, my brother, my cousins, everyone. It was 100% great. And then it was a little different, because I had never brought my responsibilities back to Boston with me before. It was always vacation when I was there. But I did do the normal thing of getting an apartment and totally getting sticker shock when I saw what they charge for a 1-bedroom apartment there. And it was different even looking for an apartment, because I was no longer looking for the volleyball court and the pool, which are my favorite amenities. Instead, I was looking, what sold me on this place was the heated garage and plow service, so I didn't have to dig my car out of that horrible snow. So it was pretty good. But family and friends were a little bit smaller, because now I had a lot more to do while I was living there. But I started comparing Boston and Arizona. Before I noticed, I had actually made a life in Arizona. My mom and my sister were still out here, and I really, really liked the sun. And I didn't remember that in Boston, you can go 6 to 8 months without seeing any sun. The whole city goes into like a seasonal depression, and they're already very we'll say gregarious with their behavior. So when they get worse, it's not a fun situation. And I made a phone call that was, doesn't seem like an odd thing to say, but I called my mom and I said, I want to go home. And what was odd about that is I was calling Arizona home for the first time in my life. And so I did. I came home to Arizona. And I'm very glad I did, because since I've been in Arizona, I met my husband, got engaged, had a wedding, gave birth to my puppy. Well, didn't give birth to her, but from the way that we treat her, you really wouldn't be able to tell the difference. She is a spoiled little girl. And I'm married into a huge family. I actually love my in-laws, no lie. Even my sisters and my father, when they are visiting sometimes, they will come and spend the time with my in-laws. And then I have my amazing church family out here, I have my amazing US Foods family, and I have that huge extended family that I had missed and I have now built out here, which is pretty amazing. The one thing though is that my husband had never seen Boston, and with Boston being a huge part of me, and us being together 6 years, he had kept hearing about it, and never seen it. So I was like, okay, my dad's turning 60, great time to go out to Boston. So took him out to Boston, went all over the state, and got to show him all sorts of things. Got to show him Gillette Stadium, he had to see that. Got to show him all the fireworks shows, because it was 4th of July weekend, and 4th of July is Boston's holiday, Revolutionary War, definitely a big thing. Take him deep sea fishing, something you can't do in Arizona. It was a very good trip, but I realized when we were there that it was very much showing him a part of me, but my past. It was no longer showing him my home. And then the real flip was that as I was there, my best friend was talking about her 30th birthday and where to go, and of course I'm biased, and I said, Arizona. She came out to Arizona. And so her number one thing was that she wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. And I had been there as a child, but like only at the railing taking photos. When I went there this time, we actually got to climb down into the rim and whatnot. It was completely different than I had ever seen the Grand Canyon before. And just seeing the whole state. We went to Jerome, we went to Prescott, we went to Sedona, we went all over. Took to my favorite crystal store, to Whiskey Row in Prescott, and I realized how much I love Arizona, and how much pride I actually have for Arizona as my home. So, as I said in the beginning, home is where the heart is. Well, my heart is in Arizona. Arizona is my home, and Arizona is where I plan on having my happily ever after. Thank you.